Police and political leaders have joined hundreds of mourners at a special service in the aftermath of the Sydney siege. Emotional tributes have been paid to cafe manager Tori Johnson and mother of three Katrina Dawson, who were killed in the siege.
A sweeping federal and state review will be held into the circumstances leading up to the siege. The central question: how was a gunman with such a violent criminal history free on bail and also able to get hold of a firearm? We'll take a closer look at the political response to the siege shortly, but first let's take you straight to Martin Place in Sydney, where that ocean of floral tributes has grown even bigger overnight. Reporter Rachel Pupazzoni is there. Rachel, good morning to you. We'll get back to more people laying those tributes shortly, but take us through what happened at that emotional service last night at St Andrew's Cathedral.
Yes, Michael, it's a way for people to honour those who were caught up in this terrible situation that happened in Sydney on Monday and into Tuesday. People who don't know those who were impacted, and of course Tori Johnson and Katrina Dawson, who tragically died in the incident, have attended the service at St Andrew's Anglican Cathedral last night. The New South Wales Premier Mike Baird, the Commissioner Andrew Scipione were both there, other leaders, and of course there was also a service the night before at St Mary's Catholic Cathedral. People sharing their love and their grief and trying to come to terms with what's happened. A number of people spoke at last night's service. Here's some of what they said.
I particularly remember the life of Tori Johnson, manager of the Lint Cafe, whose life was cut tragically short this week during an act of selfless bravery. We thank you for his unfailing generosity and kindness to we who work for him. We especially thank you for his courage and commitment to the staff and customers in this tragic time of siege. We pray also for his staff, my colleagues, who were caught in the crossfire and experienced the trauma of the siege. May you comfort them with your healing hand.
We come before you with hearts heavy with sorrow for the attacks upon innocent citizens in our city earlier this week. We grieve with those whose families and friends are directly affected. In particular, we grieve for the loss of Katrina Dawson, wife and mother of three young children. We pray for her husband Paul, their children, and her whole family. We pray that in this Christmas season that they might rest upon your unchanging promises despite the difficult changes and chances of this fleeting world. We pray for Katrina's legal colleagues as they mourn her loss, that they too would turn to you for refuge. We pray that your Spirit would minister to them in their grief and that they might be comforted. Among this number, we especially pray for Julie Taylor, a fellow barrister who survived the tragedy and escaped the gunman's rage. Draw her to yourself, we pray, that the trauma she experienced, along with all the other hostages, might lessen over time.
Some of the tributes paid to the victims last night at that service at St Andrew's Cathedral. Rachel, just looking at those floral tributes behind you, they certainly seem to be much bigger than when I was there this time yesterday morning.
Yeah, Michael, people are still coming this morning laying floral tributes, cards, there are candles burning, teddy bears, Lint teddy bears I've noticed as well. And it has indeed grown and continues to grow. In fact, yesterday we were all moved as authorities increased the area, allowing people to lay more flowers. Of course, it's impossible to know how many bunches of flowers have been laid here, but what I can say is that the mood continues to be one of quiet reflection, people acknowledging the suffering that those 17 hostages endured and the suffering that they will continue to endure, and of course their families and the families of Tori Johnson and Katrina Dawson. People who never knew any of those involved have come here to pay honour and pay their respects to those who've been caught up in this terrible tragedy.
And also there's a very fragrant nature, Rachel, to the tribute as well.
Yeah, I guess it's not surprising with so many flowers. As you walk up to Martin Place from any direction, the aroma of the flowers, it kind of hits you, and it's, you know, emotion is not just something that we see or something that we can touch. And I think that for me anyway, being able to smell these flowers is another level of that emotion and acknowledging the dedication of so many Sydneysiders and people from across the country who've come to Sydney to pay their respects.
Rachel Pupazzoni at that tribute at Martin Place. Thank you very much.
Also